The Deputy Prime Minister and PLP Chairman speak out following yesterday's threat by Fort Charlotte MP Andre Rollins. This as the F&M Deputy Leader calls on Rollins to come forward with his information. Plus, we'll give you an in-depth look at violence in the nation's schools. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Topping news tonight following a threat by embattled PLP MP Dr. Andre Rollins to name names if fellow parliamentarian Renward Wells is fired from his Ministry of Works position. The Deputy Prime Minister and PLP Chairman are speaking out, slamming the fired Gaming Board Chairman. Philip Brave Davis says if Rollins had any information, he would have released it, while Bradley Roberts says Rollins needs to either put up or shut up, adding hell will freeze over before Andre Rollins blackmails the PLP. Simone Davis reports.
We will see hell freeze over on the second coming before Andre Rollins blackmails a PLP government or organization because of his egomaniacal and selfish genotype prevents him from reasonable and balanced behavior and being a team player.
After Rollins' threats, Roberts said he is angry at what he considers an attempt at blackmail. He said if Rollins is dissatisfied in the leadership of the party, he can freely leave just as he freely joined the organization. He also said Rollins must now put up or shut up.
Rollins must put up or shut up over these idle threats and claims of disrespect by the Prime Minister and acts of malfeasance by others. If Rollins has information and proof of anything, lay the same on the table or shut the hell up and go and sit down.
DPM Davis, who's acting Prime Minister while Prime Minister Christie is in New York, says he doesn't know what information Rollins could possibly have that could tarnish the name of any member of the PLP. He suggested that the threats are a part of a political scheme. He said it is out of Rollins' character to hide information about the party from its members, and he doesn't believe that Rollins has any damning information.
Well, first of all, I don't understand what information he could have that could tarnish any of my PLP colleagues. I don't know of any. And it's a hollow threat, I think, designed to promote whatever his ultimate goal or ambition might be. But it is what it is. If he has such information, I'd be surprised that he's keeping such information to himself. That don't appear to be consistent with whom he has been betraying all these last several months.
When asked if he had any idea what kind of information Rollins may have, Roberts said he doesn't have the slightest clue, and neither do the people in Rollins' constituency. He added, quote, "He was sent to Parliament to do the people's business, but instead he strokes his oversized ego by repeatedly hustling the media for headlines. These salacious outbursts and self-serving antics do not serve the public's interest, but denigrate the nobility of public service and parliamentary process to spectacles for entertainment." Roberts says as far as he's concerned, blackmail is illegal in the Bahamas. He says although there are no plans to expel Rollins from the party as yet, he just hopes that he stops while he's ahead. He also said Rollins has squandered an opportunity at public service by abandoning the people who sent him to Parliament. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.
Well, this afternoon, Rollins shot back. He said as quickly as Roberts responded to him, he should also be similarly convicted that no member of the organization he chairs deserves to have the perception of impropriety hanging over their heads due to the refusal of the Prime Minister to address this controversial matter by explaining to the public the circumstances surrounding the same some 2 months after it first made national headlines. Rollins said addressing this matter would be consistent with a government committed to the practice of good governance. He added that the chairman's statement would seem to suggest that a response from the Prime Minister is forthcoming and the country would be well served by a response from its leader. Well, Free National Movement Deputy Leader Loretta Butler Turner also speaking out on the issue today, calling Rollins' threat vindictive. She said if there's information the Bahamian people need to know about their government, that information should not be withheld. And whether or not Wells is fired, Rollins must be made to answer to the threats he's making.
First of all, I think it's a very vindictive nature, but even bigger than that, I think it lacks principle and credibility and honesty. Because if there's information that the Bahamian people need to know in terms of what is happening in the governance of this Bahamas, it should not be predicated on whether your friend is fired or whether your friend maintains a job. I think that that essentially disqualifies any person sitting in the Honorable House of Parliament from being there, because they're withholding information and using it as a blackmail in order for somebody else to remain there. That is not what governance is about. We've got to be fair, because it's not our business, it's the people's business. So we deserve to know whether Wells is maintained or fired. Rollins must be made to answer to these threats that he's making.
Prime Minister Christie has yet to make a definitive public statement on Wells' future. Butler Turner described the silence as deafening.
It's deafening. It's deafening. This has hung over the heads of the Bahamian people for far too long. There are too many questions that are unanswered. It seems that seriously there are some things going on. I don't want to speak to it because I don't know fully, but obviously there are things that need to be investigated. There's something terribly wrong, something that smells, and I think it's not a rat.
As for what should happen to both Rollins and Wells, Butler Turner said she doesn't want to get in PLP business, but the matters must be dealt with.
No, I don't want to get in PLP's business. I just want to get in the Bahamian people's business. What the PLP do with Rollins, Wells, or anybody else, that's their business. But in terms of accountability to the Bahamian people, this threat is not a threat on the Prime Minister. This is an even bigger problem, because that means this man is suggesting he knows of wrongdoing, and we call him honorable, and he is not willing to come to the Bahamian people and share that information. That is shameful, that is despicable, and that is dishonest.
In other news tonight, as the country's crime problem spirals, its effects are spilling over into our schools. In many cases, teachers are now reportedly faced unknowingly with convicted criminals in their classrooms, and the mix is turning out to be beyond what many can handle. Tonight, in the first part of an NB12 special report, Shanique Miller tells us of the shocking incidents that are said to be causing a disruption in the learning process and why principals aren't speaking out more. We warn you, some of the video may be sensitive for some of our viewers.
Teaching is different from what it used to be a decade ago. Back then, running in the halls or talking during class was the cardinal sin. But nowadays, the classroom has become a battleground where the respect for the teacher has all but disappeared.
I smell? Funky! Mr. Amador smell like? Funky!
Listen closely as these students from R.M. Bailey Senior High School verbally assault the teacher, who can be seen standing in the doorway seemingly at a loss for words as the entire class attacked.
He mouth smell like? Funky! He talking about you? Funky! I looking at her? Funky!
Without any twitch or a second thought. It comes out almost naturally. It's as if it's normal conversation for them. And I keep saying, in my 24 years in education, I have never heard or seen a teacher teach obscene language. However, our students are very proficient in the use of obscene language.
As she looked at the offending video, BUT President Belinda Wilson remembers when corporal punishment was taken out of the school system some 13 years ago.
In 2001, when the then government removed corporal punishment out of the schools, I think we had a downward spiral.
But the verbal assault is nothing compared to what's really happening on school campuses. What Wilson told NB12 Next painted a real picture of just how out of control things really are.
There are guns that are on school campuses, knives.
By teachers protecting themselves.
Students with guns on school campuses, knives, ice picks, brass knuckles. I understand that there was an alleged stabbing. Actually, about 2 or 3 students would have been stabbed on the C.R. Walker campus last week.
And if you think that's troubling, there's more.
We have knowledge of at least one student last term that was in a junior high school wearing an ankle bracelet. And it was not until that student actually physically attacked a teacher. And during the scuffle, his pants leg would have raised. And that is when the teacher was then aware that this student was wearing an ankle bracelet. We have students out on bail for murder, attempted murder, housebreaking, theft, possession of firearm, drugs in our schools.
Garth Johnson, head of the Security Division at the Ministry of Education, says metal detectors are used on some campuses, but because of the way some campuses are constructed, it's difficult to have a central area. Asked about the claims made by Wilson, Johnson says he was not informed of the student with the ankle bracelet or of students convicted of serious crimes still attending school.
The matter had not been reported to the Security Department. Mr. Brooks, Leroy Brooks, is the deputy to me, and he is unaware of it, and I'm unaware of it. But had it been as you stated, then our job is to liaise with the police, find out what were the charges. If he had a bracelet, it meant that he was charged with a criminal offense to be with a bracelet. So then we would have consulted them. When they would have told us about it, we then would have advised the Director of Education and the Minister, and they would have taken the necessary action.
With 10 being the highest, Wilson puts the level of violence on school campuses at 7. She's urging the Ministry of Education and its partners to come up with effective strategies so that students and teachers are safe while they still can. Reporting for NB12, I'm Shanique Miller.